You know what's funny? People are always chasing the next big thing. Crypto, AI stocks, flipping digital land in the metaverse, or the newest app that promises to double your money while you sleep and brush your teeth. But let me tell you something my grandfather used to say while peeling an orange very, very slowly. Like the world was going to wait for him. The fruit that ripens too fast usually rots just as fast. Now, he wasn't giving me a fruit lesson. He was giving me a money lesson disguised as citrus wisdom. So, let's have a talk. Not a lecture, not a sermon, just a calm, thoughtful chat. Like two friends at a kitchen table, maybe with some rugelach between us. Let's explore how the Jewish mindset, a mindset shaped not just by religion, but by centuries of wandering, rebuilding, surviving, and thriving, approaches wealth. Spoiler alert, it's not loud, not flashy, and definitely not fast, but it works. Especially if you're the kind of person who enjoys sleeping through the night without checking your phone at 3 a.m. Let's begin. You know what excites people? Fireworks, lottery tickets, a startup that promises to revolutionize socks using blockchain and AI. You know what doesn't excite most people? A government bond yielding 3% annually, or a plain old dividend ETF that's been paying the same thing for 15 years. But here's the paradox. Excitement is often the enemy of wealth, because wealth, the real kind, the stay rich kind, is built quietly. Let me paint you a picture. There's Jason. Jason is fun at parties. Jason lives for adrenaline. Jason trades crypto at midnight, follows 10 Discord groups, and starts every sentence with, "Bro, you won't believe this new coin." He checks his portfolio like some people check their stove, obsessively. His mood? Depends on the market. His stress levels? Let's just say his Apple Watch thinks he's being chased by a bear. Then there's Miriam. Miriam lives in a quiet suburb. She owns 3 things. An apartment building she bought with her husband 20 years ago, a boring but stable ETF, and a small collection of Israeli government bonds. She doesn't know what the S&P 500 did today. She doesn't care. She's too busy checking her tomatoes in the backyard. 10 years later, Jason is still almost rich. Miriam. She's retired, content, and hosting Shabbat dinners with her grandchildren, who all call her house the most peaceful place in the world. How did this happen? Because Jason was chasing dopamine. Miriam was building shalom, peace, consistency, stability. And here's a bit of Jewish truth. Time is more valuable than gold. And if you're spending all your time watching charts go up and down, praying for a miracle, stressing over every red candle on the screen, you're not investing. You're gambling your peace. Real wealth is quiet. And if your investment strategy is louder than your rabbi on Yom Kippur, you might want to rethink it. There's a Hebrew word that doesn't translate well into English, shalem. It means whole, complete, balanced, settled, not rich, not famous, whole. In the Jewish mindset, wealth isn't measured by your car or your vacation photos. It's measured by shalem, that sense of security that lets you exhale at night, knowing you're okay, your family's okay, and tomorrow doesn't scare you. Let's talk about Aaron. Aaron made good money in his 30s. But instead of chasing moonshot stocks or joining a startup with a logo that looked like a duck with sunglasses, he did something different. He bought land, not in the hottest zip code, but stable. He learned a trade, electrical work, not glamorous, but always in demand. He built relationships, with vendors, with clients, with his community. Was he flashy? No. But when 2008 hit, when COVID hit, when the market tanked and people panicked, Aaron slept just fine. He had shalem. And why does this matter? Because Jewish history, let's be honest, hasn't exactly been filled with financial stability. We've had pogroms. We've been kicked out of countries. Our stores burned. Our savings stolen. Sometimes we couldn't even own land or open a bank account. So we learned something deep. Don't build wealth for attention. Build it for protection. Even the Talmud says, divide your wealth into 3, 1/3 in land, 1/3 in commerce, and 1/3 kept aside. That's not to sound smart. That's to survive earthquakes, financial and otherwise. So next time you get an itch to chase some hype investment, stop and ask, is this making me more whole? Or just more anxious? If the answer is stress, it's already too expensive, no matter the price tag. In every family, there's that cousin who calls you boring. You're so cautious, they say. Why don't you take risks? And you nod and smile and sip your tea. Because you know something they don't. Slow is smooth. Smooth is strong. Strong survives. Let me introduce you to Abe. Abe owns a dry cleaning shop. Nothing fancy. Every year he saves 10% of what he earns. Rain or shine. He buys small properties, one at a time, no drama, no debt, no secret formula. 25 years later, Abe owns 20 properties. He supports his shul, sends his grandkids to school, still drives a 2002 Camry, still wears the same winter coat. He's what I call a stealth millionaire. You wouldn't guess it. But if you sat down with him, he could write you a check that would make your head spin. That's the Jewish way. We don't need limos. We need longevity. We don't chase yachts. We chase yashar. Integrity, stability, quiet confidence. Because boring investments, they don't beg for your attention. They just keep working while you live your life. Now let's get spiritual. Because if you really pay attention to the Jewish calendar, you'll notice something incredible. It's a financial masterclass. Take Shabbat, a weekly pause. You stop, you breathe. You say, enough chasing, enough earning. Let me enjoy what I have. That's radical. In a world that tells you to hustle 24/7, we say, sit, eat, be present. Then there's Shemitah. Every 7th year the land rests. Imagine that. A whole year of not working the fields. Letting things go. Trusting that enough was already planted. And then there's Pesach, our liberation story. We were slaves. We had nothing. We left Egypt with dough on our backs and hope in our hearts, not stock tips or crypto wallets. These aren't just traditions. They're training. Shabbat teaches restraint and reflection. Shemitah teaches patience and trust. Pesach teaches resilience and humility. It all builds a mindset that says, we've been through worse. We'll figure this out. Don't panic. Plan. And honestly, that mindset has more value than any Ivy League MBA. Let me tell you something Uncle Moish once whispered over tea in Rugelach. Everyone wants to be clever, but the trick is not being stupid. I laughed, but he wasn't joking. Because honestly, that's the whole secret. You don't need to be a genius. You just need to avoid obvious mistakes. Don't buy things you don't understand. Don't chase what everyone else is screaming about. Don't take on debt to impress people who don't care. Let me give you one more example. Sarah, a widow in her 60s, got a small inheritance. Everyone told her to invest in a hot biotech startup. You know what she did? She put it into a boring dividend fund. That fund paid her $200 a month, like clockwork, for 12 years. The startup? Gone in 3. So the question is, do you want to be clever and broke, or calm and wealthy? Jewish wisdom leans toward the latter. Build slow, avoid stupidity, trust in time. So, my friend, what did we learn today? The Jewish mindset doesn't scream for attention. It whispers security. It doesn't aim for the moon. It aims to still be standing when the moon explodes. It doesn't stress when the market dips. It breathes. It adjusts. It continues. Because in the end, wealth isn't about private jets or luxury watches. It's about shalom bayit, peace in your home, the ability to help others, the freedom to live on your terms, not the market's. So yes, it might look boring from the outside, but inside that portfolio, there's quiet, there's dignity, there's a future being built, and there's an ancient wisdom compounding slowly, with purpose. You want more of that? Stick around. I've got more stories, more lessons, more Jewish financial truth coming your way. But first, tell me, what's the most boring investment you've ever made that actually worked? Leave a comment, hit the like button, and subscribe. And while you're at it, call your cousin, the one trying to flip NFTs, and tell him to watch this too. The next video? We'll dive into how Jewish families pass down wealth without drama. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. L'chaim, to life, to wisdom, and to wealth that lets you sleep at night.